What's going on, guys? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to a video titled German versus American Homes. This explains everything. Okay, we see what that means. I think this may have to do with the foundation or just how German homes are built in general, because many American homes, they're not necessarily built to last. That's the theme that I think I've heard in the past, but the one thing I do know about German homes, the one aspect I'm familiar with would be the windows. Just the versatility of German windows being able to tilt forward and then act normally as well. We have nothing like that. But like the whole home in general and the specifics of different aspects of houses when it comes to Germany, not something I'm familiar with. I really haven't been in a German house before. You know, I've only stayed in like hostels or hotels and been in like the regular buildings, but in terms of like a residential neighborhood, that's not something I've infiltrated yet. That sounds like I'm a criminal, but anyways, before we get into this, guys, just want to wish Germany good luck. I'm actually recording this right before their final group stage match versus Ecuador, hoping that they'll emerge victorious. I think that they will. And then it looks like their first elimination round match will be on Monday. So best of luck for Germany. Fingers crossed moving forward. I have a good feeling about this. And also, guys, if you want to get some merch, I've been turning around every video. First link in the description to support Germany and also look fresh for the summer football season. But yeah, let's get right into this. Here we go.
Is a typical German home any different from a typical American home? Well, let's go and find out. One of the things you'll notice is that most German homes are built from brick or concrete blocks versus wood. That also makes them last a lot longer, makes them a little bit more expensive, but also insulates them better, both with heating and with sound. Let's step inside and see what it looks like on the inside.
And I actually did hear about this in terms of the insulation, not just with heating, but also with cooling. In the summer, if you don't have aircon, but you're in one of these houses, then it's still going to be cool because the walls are super thick. Something like that. And I know she's talking about American homes because I did hear that they're mostly built out of wood, which is more cost effective. But in terms of lasting a long time, not going to be as effective as these German foundations. Also, another thing about home ownership in Germany is that I'm pretty sure the majority of Germans are renting, whether that be apartments or renting homes. I don't know. I don't think there's many like homeowners in Germany, which is a massive cultural difference because owning a home in the United States is everything. Like that's what most people are aiming for. Their goal is to eventually own one. But in Germany, maybe you guys like that freedom to be able to move around more. I'm not really sure what that's all about.
Just getting into the front door is a little bit different because you will not find a movable doorknob, but a lock and a handle. So you're going to need a key to get inside. Otherwise, you'll have to ring the doorbell. Let's do that. Most Germans, about 1/3 of Germans, only own a single family or live in a single family residence.
There it is.
Everybody else lives in multi-unit buildings that have maybe up to 10 units or maybe even more, depending on where you are in bigger cities or in more rural areas. But most people in Germany actually still rent versus own. Oftentimes you come in the hallway and then
I promise, guys, I did not watch this video beforehand because I literally said that right before. Maybe I just need to listen more before speaking. But yeah, 1/3 that's not the majority. That is crazy.
Oftentimes you come in the hallway and then there is a half bath right off the hallway. And what's interesting about German sinks is that most of them don't actually have an under cabinet sink. It's just the sink and you'll look at the pipes.
Okay, yeah, that's different. In the US, of course, there is the cabinet usually, and you can keep some things under. But no one really keeps anything under, so it's kind of useless.
I'm not quite sure if this is more of a architecture feature or something that Germans do, but it stays in the home, so I'm going to cover it in this video. And that is removable shower heads. The idea that you have a fixed shower head that comes out at a given height, and if you're really tall, you have to bend in your knees to wash your hair, Or if it's really high up and you're a rather short person and you have to kind of find where the water comes out, seems a little bit foreign to Germans. And I have to say that I love shower heads because you can also take it off and move the water on your body wherever you need it. And it also makes cleaning your shower, or if you're showering in your bathtub, a lot easier. I'm not sure if this is a little bit TMI, but a lot of, especially newer German toilets, don't drain into the floor. They actually drain into the wall. And what I love about it is that you can wipe underneath and there's no weirdness going on around it. You can just, it's very clean and actually very sanitary.
I know exactly what she's talking about. Listen, she's talking about pee stains, because in the US, the base of the toilet kind of acts as like everything flows down, and then the edges get a little sticky. I know this is very descriptive, guys, and I'm so sorry for the nasty images, but we're going to be honest here. We're going to be honest. This is so easy to clean, just mop right under. And then I will say, for the retractable shower head, that is something I noticed, but I thought that was just like I don't know why I thought it was only in hotels or hostels. Of course it would be everywhere. I've never really had a problem with the stationary shower heads in the US that are just sticking out of the wall and you can't move. But I can definitely see that, like, that would be more convenient and flexible. I just wonder if there's like more room for error, since now you have a shower head that can move around. What if it breaks? Maybe I'm just looking for problems with it because it's different. Probably, yeah.
Around it, you can just, it's very clean.
I love looking at her
And
facial expressions when she's trying to talk about how nasty it can get around toilets, especially if you're with boys or men. Yes, growing up, I'm already know, like, there's just pee everywhere. Not everyone's good at aiming. The men.
actually very sanitary.
Oh my
Also,
God.
windows can be very different. Obviously, this window has just been put in, but it's very typical, and you can see how they need to finish the wallpaper here. But the first thing is, and this is a little hard to show, I'll show you another window, but first of all, you can lock.
She said Vinda. This is the most German American ever. Not only just that, but also her attitude and demeanor. She's so German. She must have been in Germany for a while at this point. What is
window, but first of all, you can lock it, which on the second floor, I don't know if that's that necessary. However, this came with locks, but you can set it to this setting and then you can open the window. They open inside. They don't open to the outside. They open to the inside. And then the next thing, and this is something that trips up a lot of Americans, is that you have another setting here and you can crack the window. I've known Americans who think like, wow, the window is coming towards me. But no, it is this, and it's actually really practical because you can still use the windowsill underneath and it just cracks it, and that's just a little bit of fresh air. And the other thing is the Rollladen, rolling shutters, which I absolutely love. And there's another setting.
Oh.
So the advantage.
How did she just do that? That's like magic. I've never seen German shutters before either. Damn, that got blacked out fully.
Of the rolling shutters is, first of all, you can darken the room. You can darken it somewhat so that a little bit of light shines in, and if you let them roll all the way down, then it's completely pitch black dark in the room. Great for kids and great if you want your room really dark. You don't need darkening or light blocking curtains. The other thing is it insulates against the heat, or in the winter, the cold. As you can tell, we're here in the winter and there's a lot of snow outside, and also the sound. So it's a lot quieter because it's another layer. Most German windows are now mandatory to double pane glass windows, but it also keeps the sound out. So that's the windows. And as we're stepping,
we know sound can be a little very important in Germany. It's Sunday at 3 p.m. Why are you using the lawnmower? This is not allowed. So are the blinds inside between the two layers? It's like in there between the two windows. I have never seen anything like that. And yes, I actually had to go buy these curtains and install them because if you guys remember, if you go to some of my older videos last year, I had the blinds and it was a terrible lighting setup. It was awful. Looking back on it, I don't know what I was doing, but we all look back on our past and wonder what we were doing. It's natural. So I'm glad I have this, but those German blinds would have been nice to have the whole time, to be honest.
Keeps the sound out. So that's the windows. And as we're stepping into people's bedrooms, there is another thing that's very different, and that is that most German homes don't have any walk-in closets. So where do they keep their clothes? They keep them in big wardrobes. If you, for example, go to IKEA, you will see that because IKEA sells to the European market, and it's a Swedish company, so they know what Germans need or what Europeans need, and you actually keep all your clothes in these big wardrobes. If you move, you have to move with all your big wardrobes.
Damn.
I am here in a plant-loving home. Plants on every windowsill, but hey, it's super green. Another thing that is typical for German homes is radiators. And
something tells me that this is not her home, you know? Also, what are your thoughts on the wardrobes, guys? I have a closet, like walk-in closet, and those are really common in the United States. Like wardrobes are not common. They're not. Everyone seems to have a closet for the most part, maybe a dresser, but not like a massive wardrobe. So I wonder, I know it's not a bad thing. It's just interesting difference.
Radiators, and people don't have, 150 years ago, they used to have stoves in the corner, or what do you call them? Heaters, coal, wood activated burning heaters. But these days, pretty much everybody has radiators, and they sit underneath the window.
Okay.
And why? Because, as you may know from high school or whenever, warm heat rises up. And if you have in the winter the warm heat rising up in front of the window where the cold air is coming in, then you're creating a circulation inside the room, and it actually moves the warm air into the room versus the cold air sitting there and maybe even leaking to the outside. So that's the radiators. They most often have a thermostat, and you can set it to a comfort setting. And
what the hell?
Obviously there's newer homes with Wi-Fi controlled and so for heaters, but most Germans still have a little thermostat, a little dial that they move, and then they adjust the temperature. Something that I'm super envious about.
The cuckoo clock? That's very German as well. Is this from, I want to say it's from the Black Forest region, but I don't know. The airflow thing with the radiator, though, that's a lot of engineering here, and it all revolves around the windows. Germans, man, ahead of the game.
I'm gonna move down here while I'm talking to you guys, is being able to walk into the basement. And the basement is often a dugout area right underneath the house. Sometimes it's a partial basement, but it is underneath the house. It is concrete, so it has a concrete foundation and concrete walls. It needs to be watertight because obviously the water would flow into the walls, and if it's not built super watertight, it would move into the basement. But there are different rooms in the basements, and I'm going to take you there now.
Let's see the German basement.
It is slightly
cold,
damp, I want to say, but it's also cool, and it is a storage that I'm so envious about. I would love particularly this one, this food storage where you can store your drinks, you can go shopping and buy a ton of stuff, because Germans tend to have smaller refrigerators, but they can store a lot of their food in this particular room in the basement, and you can just keep it forever. You can store potatoes here, roots in the winter, and even in the summer it stays really nice and cool down here because, as we know, warm heat rises up to the top of the house, so the basement is always really cool. And did I say that I'm really envious? I'm really envious of anybody who has a basement. Typically, it has.
Speaking about warm heat rising, warm heat, that's like two things. Anyways, isn't it true that Germans, when in the summertime, when you want to have cold drinks, they will put the bottle underneath the ground or underneath like some pebbles, because beer gardens and stuff usually have rocks and pebbles on the floor to make it warmer. I wonder if that actually works. But yeah, this would be the place to hang out when and during a heat wave in Germany.
A what we call Waschkeller, where you do your laundry, and it's really far away from everything. You can hang the laundry down here. Obviously, it would take a little longer, but if it's combined, and there is actually a dryer or washer going behind me, so if you're wondering about the noise, that is what that is. But you can often have your laundry machine in your heating room where you have your furnace, and the furnace emits heat. So that is where the laundry actually dries a little faster. But this is where the laundry happens. In this particular home, the heating room is a separate room from the laundry room. Oftentimes it's combined. There is a heat pump behind me, which is a fairly new technology, and it's very efficient, but I can tell that in this room it's already quite a bit warmer than in the other rooms, and that's why a lot of people combine the heating room and the laundry room in one to be able to dry their laundry. And you can tell that there is heat coming out because there is a little register to let warm air come out of this room. Another thing,
I have a question about the washing machines and dryers in the UK. Oftentimes they have the dryer and washer in the kitchen because there's minimal space. In here, it's in the basement. I wonder. Okay, and also, are there dishwashers in Germany? I don't know.
that you won't
I would guess
find in
not.
typical German homes is air conditioning. Traditionally, it hasn't been very hot here, and if it gets hot, it usually cools down pretty quickly. But nowadays, we have had really hot, humid days here in Germany, and then Germans just open the windows, create a draft, cool off otherwise, hide in their basement, who knows? But yeah, they don't have air conditioning traditionally.
And not only Germany, but other European countries. I wonder, as these trends continue, it feels like every summer there are more heat waves. They last longer. It's becoming a consistent thing. When will air conditioning begin to be implemented everywhere? I'm not the energy thief guy being like, why don't more European countries have aircon everywhere? Like, it's not that big of a deal. I understand, but I heard that some people have been dying out of heat in some areas in Europe. Uh, so guys, we can't just sweat it out forever. I know that it's not the best for the environment, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments because it is getting hot. It stays hot. This global warming thing is real, even though the US wants to say it isn't.
Some homes are older. For example, my mom's building was built in the late 1800s, 1890 something rather. This is a much more modern home, but German homes tend to be much more simplistic versus American homes, and the decor is often a little bit more modern, a little bit more simple. It's a lot more practical and not quite so decorated and ornated. And I'm not talking about nobody does that, but I'm talking about in general, typical, if you were to say the stereotypical German home looks like this and this is what it is. I am going to make another video about how Germans really live and what is different if you have any German home.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. Yeah, so I will say I like the practicality and the simplicity that I'm seeing in this typical German home. I think that if you have a clean space, and also there were plants everywhere and there's still a solid amount going on, which I don't mind. I love that. That adds that green, more oxygen in the air. I don't know. Anyways, if you have like a clean space, it's not cluttered. I think that it helps your mind so much. Like, for example, in my room, these things on the wall, that's the only thing on the wall. Everywhere else, it's just a wall. And maybe that's too simple, which I understand. Like, that is pretty bare. Sometimes I look at my room, I'm like, am I going to decorate this? I guess not. So I think it really does help, keep your mind like just calm. It just keeps, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's calming for me. Maybe that doesn't make sense. But this is a really interesting video. I noticed a lot of things about the German home that I had not seen before because I've never been in a proper German home. And It's just damn. There's a lot of cultural differences. Like I said, home ownership in the United States is like that's seen as like, oh, you've made it. You're living the American dream. You have your own home, backyard, driveway, big old truck. And then that's it's not all about that. Like I think I do like the idea of renting. I think it gives you so much more freedom. And yeah, some people say when you're renting, you're just throwing money away because you're not investing in something. But homeownership is expensive, and a lot of leases or contracts or whatever you want to call them, it takes 30 years to buy a house in the United States usually. That's how often you're making payments for 30 years. So that's a big commitment, you want to make sure that you're ready to stay in one place. And I think having that freedom and flexibility is unbeatable, especially at my current age. So we'll see how things progress in the future. But thank you guys so much for watching, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I will see you guys in the next one. Good luck to Germany. Peace.